people believe
right, that's
they know why you do what you do, or why you've done what you've done, or
one sec. Okay. Getting the hang of it.
People believe that they know why you do what you do, or why you've done what you've done, or I guess they assume.
Lockdown started on the 24th of March, and like a blanket on the kingdom, our lives become dark. They named her COVID-19, and how vicious is she? With no discrimination and total domination, rapidly she spread fear into all nations, captivated daily by every television station. Our NHS being crippled with majestic tasks, yet 3 weeks it took us to get them some masks. Told only it's viral which lingers in the air. Wait, this bitch sounds like chemical warfare. As the death toll rapidly keeps climbing, families are forced to carry on hiding. The vulnerable deleted daily from this adventure that we call life. And the rest of us far away and continue to strive. Patiently we wait for them to develop a cure. How long that will be, nobody's really sure. But suddenly I suppose, when they get bored of this war, collectively we'll urge it to come that bit quicker. But the reality is, which country will be the highest bidder?
My name is Callie. I'm a project coordinator for the No Bars project. I've been working with Drum and Brass for a number of years. 2 years ago, we started going into the prisons to run some poetry workshops. We collected a selection of poems and plays, which were published in a book in 2020 this year. And alongside the publication of that book, we are running the No Bars poetry competition. No Bars.
Hi guys, so we're just doing the introduction at the moment. Thank you all for coming. We're going to be watching 2 more poetry performances. We've just had Supreme 19 by Aaron. I'm going to put up a couple more, so do bear with me while I fight Zoom and get it to allow me to share my screen properly. So the first one is called Inspiration, and it's performed by a guy called Niall. Now, if I share my screen here. And let's see if we got to play full screen.
There is no
Oh, there's not.
Inspirations. Not what it blues.
Bear with me. They've got a
flash streaked across stormy skies, splintering closer night.
Okay, that was a very short poem, which I didn't manage to get full screen, but we'll go for one more. If I bring that up first and come back to Zoom.
Alphabet poem about my life. At times I feel isolated and feel so alone. Because I've cut off my ex, I don't have anyone to phone. Can things change for me? Will I get my own family? Don't feel possible right now, but I just gotta wait and see. Everything seems to go wrong when I try to do things right. Forever making the same mistakes. Will I ever see the light? Got these dark thoughts going through my mind. Help's all around me. It's not hard to find. It's only myself who can help getting things out my head. Just got to work things out. Stop sleeping all day in bed. Keeping engaging with staff because they ain't all that bad. Lads on the way too. I'll come for a chat in my pad. My time in jail was like a break from all the drama. Not exactly the best place in the world, but it does make me feel calmer. On road is a place where I don't really want to be. people who I thought was my mates were so two-faced to me. Question is it best to move somewhere new? Returning back to my hometown ain't good. Some of us might think that too. Someplace far would be better for me. Town or another city, but not at HMP. Unforgettable thoughts will come to my head. Very upsetting at times. Need to think about other stuff instead. With all this bang up, there ain't a lot to do. Xbox would be good. I'd be stuck to it like glue. You've now reached the end of my alphabet poem. Soz. Go to sleep. It's time I should be going.
And we'll just have one more for good measure before we introduce both ourselves and everyone who is in the room. And this is Belly of the Beast. Let me get myself sharing.
If I speak about pain and shame, it's a shame that the youth of today won't listen. The brother listens when you talk about or full clips of ammunition. The mission of a lifetime shortened by prison. Another bitch. They fall something, thought they were victims on the streets. They wake up in the belly of the beast. You thought you were having a feast. Turns out you are the beast.
So let's have a look. So yes, I'd just like to say welcome to everyone who has turned up. We've just had a few recitals of poetry mainly written in the prisons. We keep our writers anonymous, though any winners of the competition will be receiving mentorship, so we do get in touch with them. Now to kind of start, so I'm going to be reading slightly off the script. I will be welcoming kind of comments in the chat, or if you'd like to unmute yourself to make a comment, that'd be great. I will announce what this workshop is about before asking for any feedback so far. So, this is Sonic Projects, Giving Voice Under Lockdown, obviously part of the No Bars Poetry Project. These are a couple of talks that we're putting together as we have got a slot on a resonance radio, and we'll be cutting and changing from these workshops to put into that radio broadcast. So this workshop is 18+. We are ability inclusive, gender and expression inclusive. This is being recorded, so if you don't want your face on the recording, do feel free to put yourself on mute or non-video. And do have your microphone on mute unless you're talking, and I really appreciate that, and I think we can use that to get the most out of the conversations. When we are having conversations, I will try and kind of monitor. If you are on mute, I'll try and let you know and unmute you. So the purpose of this workshop will be to discuss the different strategies being employed to provide support to people in and around the prison system. Where we're adapting to the conditions of lockdown using this digital technology Zoom, we'll be examining the limitations to that, both to access to Zoom and within access to Zoom, looking at the ways that we can communicate with prisoners and families or friends of prisoners under these lockdown conditions. So the first part of this discussion, we'll be looking at current prison practices, what we're doing at the moment. And then around 7:05, we'll move on to thinking about what it is to listen to and platform the voices of offenders. So I suppose without further ado, I'd just be really interested to see if anyone's got any feedback for those 3 or 4 performances that we had earlier. So we had COVID, we had Supreme 19 by performer, model, actor Aaron. We had Inspiration by, I think, music maker Niall. We had Alphabet Poem by Carmen, and that was actually a poem written by one of our winners, Matty. And then we had Belly of the Beast, which was read out by my own grandmother. And I'd just like to see what people kind of think of that just initially. If you've got any first bits of feedback. Did we enjoy listening to them or seeing them?
Callie, I'd like to hear the guy from Ulster. I didn't really, the shorter one, I'd like to hear that one again, because I didn't really catch that very well. But I was really impressed by the Alphabet Poem.
Nice one. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'd be really happy to go through the short poem again. So give me a moment, and I'll be very happy to get that up.
I was just thinking about the alphabet poem. She was saying about, well, we were saying just before you started, you were talking about the 7 forms or 7 ways to rehabilitation, or 7 ways to reintegration, I suppose. And she was saying that within the poem that she wanted, she couldn't move home. She would go anywhere apart from home, because home, her city or her town, wasn't a place where she felt wanted. Her friends were two-faced and such, you know, and the desire to move away is like anywhere is better than home, when in reality that's probably not true. 99 times out of 100, it's the worst thing you could do.
Absolutely. So we have found, so to bear in mind, so the poem was written by an inmate, performed by someone on the outside, because obviously, you know, the inmates are not at the moment able to perform outside. So yeah, I found it quite interesting as well, the way that without even knowing these kind of 7 routes out of reoffending, which I think accommodation, education, drugs and substance abuse. We also had family, and a few more. I'll get those up later. Even without kind of referencing this kind of official list of routes out of reoffending, I feel like that poem and many others that we've seen have actually kind of covered these issues, which I think for me makes it it's significant that it's important both to the state and to the individuals. I really like that.
Yeah, I think it really highlights the instability of, you know, of her mind, or of the inmate's mind coming out, when you've got really just all of these options, but none of them are very particularly favourable options, really. You don't know what you want to do, but yeah, there's a whole scope of, do I go there, do I go there, do I go, you know, and it gave a real insight into that.
It's really true. What we would be hoping to do is kind of, I'm guessing quite a few of the people who are attending this meeting will have kind of practices which do address one of those areas. And so when we go around and talk about what other people are doing, it'd be great for us to, you know, kind of build up a network which less officially supports those seven issues.
Yeah.
So I'll go down to, we'll listen to the short poem again. Thank you very much for that, Simon. And so this is Inspiration, being performed by Niall O'Manion. I think I'll be able to tag all performers, etc. at the end of this meeting.
There is no denying it. Inspiration's not what it was. Gone like a flash, streaked across stormy skies, splintering a closer night.
There we are. All right.
Is that one of the poems that came from you, Kieran, from your?
I don't recognise it.
I think it. Well, I'm not, and nor do I recognise it. So I think it must have been from the batch that you. Was that the healthcare?
I mean, it's certainly one of the earliest.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was one of the earliest. Yeah, yeah.
Either the first lot or the second.
I just wondered if that, like, Kieran, because you work in prisons a lot, and it would be really interesting to hear about, like, how you got, how you worked when you were in prison for the benefit of those people who haven't worked inside prisons. Don't know, would you be?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, is this the right time to talk about that?
Don't worry not, this is all going perfectly according to plan, because the next part would be to kind of introduce everyone and their current working practices. So what I would like to do, I think this is mainly about me, so I think I get to begin. So I'll start, I'll kind of introduce what No Bars is doing. We'll go around, hear a little bit about what people are doing in the arts or prisons at the moment. And from there we should be able to kind of discuss, how things have changed. So to present to you all the No Bars, as most of you will know because I've been pummeling your eardrums with it, we are getting poetry written in and around prisons, and we're having those pieces of poetry performed by people outside. this first little act, what this should achieve is getting people to be able to empathise with each other. So we've had many people saying, oh, I don't feel comfortable performing this poem. This person's experience is too different from mine for me to even read the word and be able to kind of own them. And although we do appreciate that every single individual's experience is different, we are really championing the ability of people to empathise with people who have had such different experiences. So we really appreciate the time that people have put into performing these. With No Bars, the poetry that we are receiving, we're hoping to validate those voices by performing them. And those winning poetry entries, of which we've had 6, will be receiving mentorships. And we're achieving this by snail mail, sending it into the prisons and receiving snail mail back. That is No Bars. Now, we started under lockdown, so we've always been quite digital. I suppose I'm going to name 2 technologies that we're using, and they are Zoom and Instagram. We feel they're quite accessible to both inmates and other corporations. And although I'm not 1,000% sure how I can kind of organise each person introducing themselves, if you could shout your name, then you'll get the introduction next. That's all right. So I'm going to kind of leave it kind of down to you guys to introduce yourselves. Actually, that's not going to work, is it? Right. If I go to if I could go to Julie Hoggins next, please.
Okay. Hi everyone, I'm Julie. I work with Drum and Brass, and we I suppose we got the funding for this project, but then we kind of handed it over to Callie and Danon to run the project. But we've done a little bit of work in prisons over the years, mainly generating poetry and putting on performances. And one of the particular things that we did was bring colleagues into the prisons to help with the performances. Basically, we were just roping in people to act in these performances that we created, alongside the inmates who had written them as well. And we found that they were coming out of the prisons transformed in their attitudes as to why people were there and what they would expect in prisons. And so it was that inspired this reading of poems aspect that could happen, and that might be a way to work on the outside. Mute.
Thank you very much, Julie. Could we have Simon next, please? Simon, if you could introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you're doing at the moment.
Okay, yeah, I'm Simon. I'm a defence solicitor in Leicester. I used to do a lot of prison law and visit a lot of prisons all around the country, mainly parole reviews, IPPs, that kind of stuff. I tend to do more sort of court work, police station work now. I haven't been involved in anything like this before. I did a poetry reading over Bradgate Park a couple of weeks ago in the chilly wind, and I missed, unfortunately, last week's. So I'm really a very interested observer. That I know there's a huge untapped potential of talent within prison. I mean, the only thing that I can think of that's similar to this, the only thing that I've heard of was Billy Bragg's stuff with his guitars in prisons. And I think that worked to a point. I know there was an issue with guitar strings, but they got over that. But no, I think I'm hugely supportive of anything which uses time well and obviously broadens inspires inmates to think, yeah, I can do something else. I can go somewhere. And I can be who I want to be, not what other people are telling me that I have to be. So I'm an interested observer at the moment. We'll see, as I say, I'm very interested.
That's brilliant. Really appreciate that, Simon. Both the reading and I think this noticing that prisoners our poets even, all they want to do is express themselves and be what they want to be. I think that's a really important point to kind of keep in mind. So I'm glad that you highlighted that. If we could go next to Kieran, please.
Hi, yeah, I'm Kieran. I work for a charity called Soft Touch Arts, which some people might have heard of. We do lots of different projects with disadvantaged young people all over the city and county, and a lot of the work that I do is focused on prison-based projects. I was a teacher at Glenparva Prison for a few years, and now deliver pretty much all of the prison-based work for Soft Touch. I also run sessions for people who've recently finished sentences and returned to the community. So prior to the lockdown, we were running lots of activities, music, cooking, art, whatever people wanted to do, really, we kind of facilitate it. For me, it's always been a crucial time to engage people as soon as they get out. I mean, there's so many factors that can lead to people, well, ending up back inside or in a grim situation very quickly if there isn't a supportive network and the right facilities available. So what we were doing was going into HMP Leicester, HMP Stocking and other places and delivering lots of different things. Some of it was kind of organised, some of it was relatively chaotic, depending on when you rock up and who's around and what time of day it is or whether people want to get involved. But on the whole, I would say the need for doing these sorts of activities is huge, and we've had lots of people who are still involved in projects with us who will, they'll talk about their engagement in these kind of activities and what they gain from it and how they still want to be involved, which is a brilliant testament to doing these kind of projects. So that's how it was. How it is now is obviously very different. It's probably going to be the focus of what people are talking about a lot this evening, I would have thought, because it is obviously extremely difficult to get in. I actually did get into Leicester Prison last week, which I didn't expect to be able to do, and it was like, it just felt really good to be able to set foot back in there and check my keys were still able to.
Yeah. It'd be really interesting to hear how they were doing inside as well at the time. I mean, were they surprised to have someone in? Were they wary?
They, to be honest, I probably shouldn't have really been there anyway. So I didn't go on the wing, much as I would have liked to. But the restrictions, the lockdown restrictions, are fully enforced now. So I didn't really want to get anyone in trouble by wandering around doing something that I shouldn't have been doing. But what we have been doing, I don't know whether I'll leave that to later to discuss it. I can explain a bit later on maybe about how we've been attempting stuff.
Yeah, I'd really like to hear about, because I know that you were looking at art steps and also your tea painting class, so we'll look forward to hearing about those.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's fine.
Very good. That's a bond. And if we could move on to Judith and Vince, that'd be brilliant.
Hello. Okay. I'm a forensic clinical psychologist. I'm now in private practice, so I am in prison through video conferencing just now, doing expert witness reports on people every couple of days. I seem to have loads of them to do. Work hasn't changed. In fact, with Corona, there's been a lot of people trapped in the system, and the system is a bit slower. So we're trying to kind of get people moving through. I mean, I'm interested in this project because I like to hear the voice of the people inside. If you just read the official papers, you don't really hear the person, and you don't hear their experience, their lived experience, and you don't get an idea of how to help them as individuals. And any way that can get people to open up, to express themselves is good. Over the years, I've been really impressed at how people can who are not generally big ones for words, can suddenly express themselves if they start rapping their work or freestyling. And, you know, it's just about finding a groove that will enable people to communicate. And so I'm all for anything that is trying to improve communication so we can understand people and help them to correct the mistakes that they've had in their lives. Judith?
Thank you very much, Prince. And yeah, Judith?
I'm work as a GP for the homeless in Leicester, and so I spend a lot of my life just listening to people and their stories, and there's a sort of revolving door with a lot of people who are homeless in and out of prison, and it's I find it's a lot of it associated with mental health. So I just listen to people's stories, and they are amazed that I'm interested in what's happened in their lives, and they'll say, no one has ever listened to my story before. And I was working with a charity in Leicester called The Bridge, and they are a sort of a day centre providing meals and activities. And we had a project between the two of us, the Inclusion Healthcare, GP Surgery and The Bridge, to try and get a music group together, because we thought it would be wonderful. Everyone could play music together and reduce people's isolation. It didn't work at all, because I always link everyone's difficulties to their mental health, and people are so anxious. They have sort of social anxiety, and we could barely get two people working together because they would never come back to a session because it involved having to talk to other people. But interestingly, there's a writing group at The Bridge, and they were a strong unit, and they were writing down their stories and experiences, and we were going to channel individual people's experiences, and the writing group would write it down, and then perhaps they might perform or alternatively. And we were also thinking about doing video sessions, because I think I went to a talk in Nottingham about people with dementia, and they were videoing people's stories, not necessarily direct face to face, but there's what they loved and what made them happy in life. That was the question. And I thought we could do the same with our homeless group, who often had been in and out of prison.
Oh, that's brilliant. Thank you ever so much, Judith. And that's really interesting to hear from a really quite integrated health point of view, the importance of the arts. It just kind of like really reifies it. So very much appreciated. And I think that, yeah, that's kind of put some ideas in my mind, and we'll talk on that later. So we're just going to go through, see who else is here. So if we could have Corinne next, that'd be great.
Hello. I am Corinne. I'm a photographer from Northampton, and also the bane of Kieran's life. We've recently done a virtual exhibition called Images of Release, where we've worked with ex-prisoners on making photos and seeing how they see the world and expressing themselves through photography, and that's being released tomorrow. I'm excited. I can't hear your claps, but I know they're there.
They are there, they are there. Thank you ever so much, Corinne. And yeah, really looking forward to that tomorrow. I would like to come back to Art Steps, because this virtual gallery is something that I think is really interesting, and it'll definitely be, you know, something that we'll need to talk about if talking about digital communication. So thank you. And if you could move to next, the name of this chat is Soulful Group. If we could have Soulful Group, that'd be great. Just a little introduction.
Hello. Well, I wasn't expecting to speak. It's a very last minute thing, my attendance, but I know Julie Maxwell, and that's why I'm here. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, absolutely great. Just a short intro of what you're doing is great.
Absolutely. My name's Shobana, and I'm a founder of a social enterprise media house that tends to focus on publishing and events and storytelling for in a non-commercial way. Therefore, it touches prisons, schools, and other vulnerable groups. So my work centres around that, and you can follow our work but essentially it's a publishing house, but with a bit of a social enterprise twist.
Cool, really good to hear. So I like that, going from, you know, the practice itself to expanding on it. Yeah, nice. So
I'd like to just pop in here and say Shobana and I worked at HMP Leicester together on the wing and doing some poetry and art. And
brilliant.
Shobana has just published Jenny's book.
Yes, so Jenny Berry, who was our previous hostess even.
That's right. So it's an amazing publishing house, which I would highly recommend.
Very good. What I was going to do, I was going to ask at the end, but I'll say it now. I was going to ask everyone to kind of share their social media handle, their project names, just so that A, we have a bit of a list, and then B, you can all kind of read that. That'd be superb. The next introduction, could we have Mello, please?
Hi, sorry I'm late. I got the invite from Julie, and yeah, so not expecting to necessarily introduce myself. Can you all hear me? Yeah, cool. But yeah, kind of interested in this area. So I have maybe worked with Bright Sparks, Arts in Mental Health, and the kind of attendance stuff around their Word and Showcase Smoothie, if you all know those guys. Sort of NHS co-produced poetry, spoken word performance projects, probably for 15 years on and off, and an all-female group called Lalu, Look a Lady Ukulele, and yeah, just lots of other projects that I've sort of community and arts projects that I've been involved in, and still I'm now doing some stuff with the Spark Arts for Children at the moment. So I just move around commissions, and I had a little bit of contact with like Kieran recently, reconnection, because I knew Kieran at uni like 3 years ago, wasn't it, Kieran? 3 and 20 or something, doing Potential Unlocked, just a little bit of kind of getting people to read the work of prisoners. So yeah, I'm just interested. I don't know what else to say. I'm a musician and spoken word artist, and I started creating films as well, and visuals.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah, I feel like I would love for everyone to put down, like, you know, their hobbies, their habits, they're interested in, but, you know, at some point, hopefully this network will kind of like grow and develop. But yeah, some really cool projects, it sounds like.
Mello, I saw a fantastic evening of your work at the Western pub a couple of years ago. I didn't marry the two up until I saw your name there. Yeah. Yeah, extraordinary night of music and poetry.
Soon Come Home, was it? Or
yeah, a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
at the Western in the upstairs in the yeah.
Cool. Nice. Okay, so we have I think 1 or 2 final people to introduce. If you could have Gemma, please.
Hi, can you hear me? Cool. Hi guys, I'm Gemma. I'm a journalist and writer as well. I mostly write, not very much it's mostly about music and things like that, so it's not really too relevant, but I'm really interested in this project. And like Simon said, I'm also like an interested observer at the moment. And yeah, I think this is such a great project, and I actually went to uni in Leicester, so like that's how something that me and Callie bonded over as well. But yeah, I think I've done a lot of work with unions and things in the past, and definitely this is a sort of field that I'd love to get involved in. And also, yeah, just super interested at the moment. I think as a writer myself, I think it's so important that these people's voices are heard. So yeah, super interested.
All right. I think, thank you very much for that, Gemma. Nice one. I think that after that really brilliant and quite well-informed introduction, it sounds like we all have a lot in common already. So we've kind of like we now know what everyone's doing, and I would just like to hear a little about. So we had a few concerns So things like people not having felt listened to before, people wanting to feel kind of authentically themselves and authentically listened to, and kind of all of these reasons being, you know, the premise for which we are doing this work. And so, you know, in order to provide inmates or any kind of vulnerable persons with these kind of support systems, I'm just wondering what people have found have been like the kind of biggest barriers to being able to support people under COVID. I'm kind of thinking of Kieran's online classes. I'd like to hear a little bit about that, and also, yeah, just the issues to us completing our work under COVID, and what we've had to substitute in, and what we've had to, you know, what new technologies we've had to embrace. So if I could open up the floor to see what people, I'd be quite interested in hearing about Kieran's project, the online workshops.
Hi, yeah. So the online things that we're doing are actually a sort of a generic part of an overall timetable of activities. It's not focusing on the prison-based stuff. It's just for anybody who wants to get involved. Anyone who's involved in any soft touch project. So that's a really kind of wider audience. But it does lead on to something that we probably should talk about that's been happening recently. And I know that some of the people here have been involved in it, as have we at Soft Touch, which was at HMP Leicester, they have a annual festival of various arts activities and performances, which a guy called Simon Bland, who's incredibly helpful and facilitates a lot of really, really good stuff that's happening, not just there but at other places as well. So what normally would happen during a set period when this event happens is that...
Sorry, is this
Talent Unlocked? Yeah. So I guess it's definitely worth mentioning, because it kind of ties into the activities that we were talking about, delivering things. So normally we would, the people that are involved in organising it, Simon and Jackie Norton and people, would invite lots of different artists, musicians, performers. I'm sure there's people here that have been involved in it and gone in and done things during that time and engaged lots of different groups inside and outside the prison in that. Now, obviously that couldn't happen this year, but what was decided instead, and it was a really, really good idea, was to do this via Way Out TV, which is basically a TV broadcasting station that exclusively broadcast within, I think, around 50 prisons in the UK. And they can actually select it to broadcast into particular prisons. So what happened was, people were requested to make videos, short videos of anything, activities. Well, I haven't seen them, and I would absolutely love to see what other people have done, because what we did, our contribution was a couple of videos. One was where we went into people's cells and we recorded them talking about activities that they do. So we had a guy who makes these incredible models. We had another guy showing off his Lego stuff that he did. We had someone making things out of soap, and we couldn't show the faces, but we could record them doing what they were doing. And we basically made a short film. I think we did a 10-minute film on that. And we also did a 10-minute film on the exhibition that we did at Leicester Museum just before the original first lockdown, which would cut the exhibition short. And all of those... Sorry,
I was going to say that, yeah, No Bars also submitted a video with Talent Unlocked. And I suppose I'm just wondering if anyone else has submitted a video there that we don't know about. No worries. Yeah, carry on. Yeah.
I don't really know, because I was on the fringes of it. So I was kind of one of the I was like a media, but there was a medium for potential unlocked, talent unlocked. So that was asking people. It was a really nice project, asking people to voice the words of prisoners. So they'd written poetry. They'd done a poetry workshop, and then asking people. Generally, I tried to ask people who had a little bit of a name, who were a little bit known. So quality control, like they were going to really perform the poem, kind of bring it, elevate it, and then also that that would get more people kind of interested in hearing it. And so, but my part was just kind of curating that, asking different people to do that, and then that got stitched together, didn't it, Kieran? And then I kind of lost track of. So I think that was in there somewhere. It's
yes, yeah.
It was. So
I think in total there were about 20 videos made, and they were then shown. I think they started in December or end of November, and they showed them over a period of weeks, and so there was a lot for people to watch, and it was at a regular time, so they knew when to tune in, and so it went out. We heard nothing because nobody outside the prisons can see or hear them. But what I can report back, I was speaking to the director at Way Out TV the other day, and he said that he showed me a stack of letters from prisoners who'd watched it, and they said that it was so popular that they've now decided to rerun the entire series again. So they're going to do it twice, which is brilliant. Because one of the things that's really difficult at the moment, and that's really important, I feel, I'm sure everybody else does, is that two-way communication and that feedback. So, when you do something like that and it goes into the prison, you haven't got access, you can't get in, you can't talk to the regular faces, you don't know what's happening, and you can kind of lose faith a bit. So it's good to know that these videos and whatever else is going being shown is.
I suppose I'm really interested at the moment. So the videos have been submitted. They have been shown. Now I know that obviously Way Out TV is operating in Leicester, and do you know whether these videos are shown in the inmate cells, or there's no I guess it would be on the TVs in the cells?
Yeah, they are.
Okay, and do you know if each prisoner, does every prisoner have access to a TV, or do you know if it's kind of, varies from prison to prison?
Well, it depends on the privileges. It depends on the situation, the individual situation. So a lot of people will have a TV. Some people have them removed if they've, not been doing things in accordance with the rules, etc. But generally, people will tune into these because they also produce educational videos and training and things like that, and they broadcast information that's relevant to that particular prison. But as far as we know, these have gone out across a very wide, across the country, which is pretty exciting, actually.
It's really exciting. So I kind of had the impression that Talent Unlocked was kind of limited to Leicester. So Talent Unlocked is Leicester, right? But then Way Out TV is nationwide.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah. And do you know where we can kind of keep up with the Talent Unlocked events? Is it just like their website, or?
Well, that's something that we're talking about at the moment, because we realised the other day that there's all of this brilliant stuff going on, that really we need to bring it all together and have it in one place. You guys have all got stuff, we've got stuff, there's people who are, who are coming out, who are producing material that needs to be seen and needs to be shared. I've got short stories right here under my table that I've just brought out that someone's given me that are brilliant, and no one's seen them or heard them, and they're kind of like screaming to be shown or read, and I've got plenty.
I'll tell you what. So I was just thinking of mentioning to Mello your own stories and poems that you were looking at, Mello, but you've got your hand up, I think.
Yeah, I was just wondered if Way Out TV had a like a YouTube channel.
No, they tend to keep a relatively low profile within the within what they do. He explained the reasons for that the other day. It's a very professional outfit, but they tend to keep a relatively low profile social media wise.
Yeah, I know there's like restrictions around being able to give credit to prisoners, but maybe does it go a bit further in terms of like the climate, because there's some people who really want prisoners to be sort of suffering, so maybe it's not very good for the funding and stuff if it's on if it's not contextualized, I guess, about the benefits of doing it, and then people are thinking, oh, there's entertainment going on with prisoners. Is that something that is an issue?
Yeah, very much so. I mean, that again, that's part of the reason why they keep it within the sort of boundaries of the people that are involved in the projects, and what they're doing is great. You know, it's really it's just particularly at the moment when it's very difficult to get in. That is a really good way to get information out. On a much more local level, what we've done since we've not been able to get in is to what we used to do. Our most effective way of delivering projects in various prisons is to have a contact who has a good relationship with the guys that you're going to be working with. So for us, that's generally been the healthcare team, mental health staff. You know, they've got a really good working relationship. I'm sure, Julie, you've had the exact same experience that we've had. Difficulties when it came to staff rearrangement and people being moved on to other prisons and cuts and everything, which meant then we were on our own. So we were wandering the wing,
aimlessly, yes.
Winging it.
Sometimes, winging it.
So just now we've covered we've mentioned a couple of topics which I'd be really interested in talking about more. So one was victims, and then one was funding. So I'm thinking, looking at the time, we've actually kind of packed a lot in. So I'm thinking that, another point, I would be really interested in talking to other people who do support prisoners, or people who've had experiences of incarceration, how we kind of address victims in our projects. It's something that I'd like to look at in No Bars that we haven't really got anything for at the moment, but I would be definitely involved in going forward. And then, the other bit was the funding. And I'm just kind of wondering, I suppose, I'm not expecting any kind of definite answers, but do we know whether, I guess there's a provision for arts going into the prisons yearly, and has all of that provision been moved, or has it is it still there? Is it still the same? Do you know if it's increased or decreased? Have people had funding? Have you had less funding? Have you had more funding? I'm just wondering, as a kind of quick question there, to kind of gauge whether, is it actually cheaper to provide support under COVID or more expensive?
They have funding from there is a private thing in the Koestler Foundation, because in the prison newspaper, Inside Time, which is a fantastically good read, there are always, there's a central supplement of poems that people produce, and you get a lot of very articulate writings that people have put in there. And there's also sort of indication of radio stations and many other, there's all sorts of multimedia. It's a community like any other big total institution. They have lots and lots of different kinds of media and communication, but the Koestler Foundation is one of the private ones. But there are lots of independent other ones, as well as you can't rely on the state these days, but you certainly can rely on independents to participate.
Can I just add, just while you mentioned Koestler, then that they are now accepting artwork and music and poetry for this year's awards. So anyone that is involved in doing these kind of projects, just let people know about that.
Yeah, I've been speaking to someone about different funding options. So if anyone is, I'm sure we will have a kind of funding teams in place. But I suppose I was just wondering whether there's like a kind of digital funding box, or just how it had been done at the moment, or whether anyone had kind of, you know, lost all funding or only gained funding under COVID.
I think that's my question, isn't it? Sorry.
I mean, it should be, shouldn't it? Because that's
I'll do a quickie. I think that all of the normal funders have offered specific COVID funds, and so it's all, whatever you do, if you can show that it's adapted to COVID, then that there is plenty of funding offered. Of course, funding never pays for everything, and however much it looks like, they want good return for their money. But yes, it is fair.
If I could at just this point, I know that Drum and Brass were looking to offer some programs, one of which would include a funding program or a bid writing workshop. Yeah, could you just because we've got 10 minutes left. I'm just going to, before we end, run to the next room in order to use the other laptop and the other screen, more COVID movements. But while I do that, yeah, if you could just kind of run through a little bit about, just kind of list off the programs that Drum and Brass are offering, so the bid writing, and then if anyone else has programs or projects that we could kind of immediately get involved in now, then that'd be great. I'll run into that room, run back into this room. You might be unsupervised for about 2 minutes, guys. All right.
Oh my God, party.
Keep it clean, guys. Keep it clean.
Come.
Was it said they didn't want to be in Callie's prison?
You're being recorded, guys.
We will be running bid writing workshops, and we'll put it on the website. If you like a friendly party style bid writing, not heads down, boring. Yeah. Anyone else got anything to share? And put it all in the chat. Put it all in the chat, because this, I think, is an amazing group of a cross-disciplinary group, which is quite rare, I think. As artists, we don't see many non-artists, so that's really good to see the legal and health medical professions, but also it's good to see some top artists around as well.
I perhaps have just got a point in respect of what Judith was saying about prisoners not being able to open up, and therefore stymieing the ability to really progress, and that is a major problem which is confronted by a lot of the rehabilitation courses at Gartree or Stocken, you know, and that's one of the cases about the most successful rehabilitation seems to be based on where prisoners are actually get to the point that they are able to disclose the most intimate details about themselves, and then the next person in the room will disclose something as intimate, or it's an AA session basically, isn't it? You know, because that group becomes locked in together, and then progresses almost as a group to say, yeah, we can progress, and we can explore our past and what's happened to us in the past together. When in reality, that person then will go back to the cell, but they would never talk to somebody outside that group about that same issue. It's locked in, and it's maintaining that kind of sense of building their confidence, and maintaining that when on release, to be able to say, okay, you're able to discuss that with other persons, you're able to think about that and to confront it. You can't now just stop that. The wall can't come down. Somehow that needs to be encouraged within, as I say, well, I mean, the probation have got license, they've got a role, but I'd say half an hour on a Monday afternoon possibly isn't going to cut it.
But I think that's where writing and spoken word often have a lot of success because people have a little bit more control about how they are telling their story, and it's it has a structure to it, and there's the creative aspect of it as well. So it's kind of, you know, it's their story or their experience is kind of stylized. So it's a much safe, like can be in a good writing, but yeah, safe way of sharing. And I'm, you know, coming from an artist facilitator and like working in Bradgate mental health unit and in the community as well. I'm always told, well, I tell myself, but initially when I first started working, like, I'm not a therapist. It's not for me to try and therapize anyone. However, there will be therapeutic outcomes to what I do. So I don't even need to worry about that. I just, like, obviously you take on board all the learning that you can around the people that you're with in that community. But at the same time, like, my job is to facilitate their creativity, and it's really, that's where I think it really works, because I keep, if people go off on something that's really hard to contain, it's just like to bring them back into the practice, the creative practice. So that's where I would advocate, like, writing workshops. And it's interesting to see what you said, Corinne. I've started to do a little bit of meditative, kind of like, not real meditation, but just some guided grounding as well, about, you know, just feeling the support in the room and stuff just before we start, because those stories are, you know, they can create a lot of anxiety in people as well.
Can I just add something there?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I'm actually part of Soulful Group is to, because myself, I'm a metaphysical writer, so I do a lot of, I mean, predating Soulful Group, this was my jam, so to speak. So I'm trying to work out how to pull everything together. And I'm just working on developing a workshop, which I'm just about going to reach out to Julie about to get the structural guidance, where it combines principles of creativity, the regular poetry and spoken word stuff, which is what we would do in a cafe, and meditation, with binaural beats and frequencies, all the stuff that has the scientific background, but also with the softness that's required, you know, getting the appropriate people to kind of engage people who will probably turn around, just like they do with poetry and art, saying, that's not for me, you know, the lot of male energy. But to see whether that can, and I don't mean like a stop-start, not 10 minutes of meditation, but maybe winding it all in. So I'd love to speak to you about that. It's going to be called Soulful Minds. And there'll be like 1.5 hour long workshops that try to really, the outcome is that therapeutic aspect, but obviously from a non professional angle.
Yeah, sounds like a lot in common.
Yeah.
So we had a bit of a lowdown on what we can get involved in at the moment, and we've got a lot in the chat there. Perfect.
I think there's a fair good bit of networking.
I really think so. I really appreciate everyone's presence here. Now, in that case, as it is 2 minutes to our end, I would say that I've definitely heard about what people are doing. So we've got some practices under COVID. I think that I've got an answer to my question, which is, you know, what is it to give platform to the voices of offenders? And I think that the kind of overall answer that's come out of this is the validation of humanity, and just it's good for people's mental health, really. And I think kind of coming on from what was kind of said at the end there, I think, Simon, you mentioned something about when you have one person sharing, it's easier for the next person to share. And in that vein, me and my friend today have actually kind of written and performed or recorded one. So his is recorded, but mine, I'm going to give it a go live, and that will be our kind of ending. If anyone else has anything to perform, then do. I'll be running into the other room, pressing play, running back, pressing stop, and then doing my own, but this will be it, okay? So say in the chat if you'd like to perform something, and if you all stay there, I will put myself on.
yeah, if anyone has got a poem stashed in their back pockets, as you do.
Sometimes it's got me ask myself how, when, and why. Does too many young kids got to die? If this life is fucked, I got a tear in my eye. Sometimes I wonder, does even humans see eye to eye? Thinking too deep sometimes, like a boat trying to sink, but I don't think so. I keep a strong, positive frame of mind. If I only knew being a drug dealer would make the feds come and invade my mum's space. Being a drug dealer would never be the case. But I can't go back into time. All I could do is still keep a strong, positive frame of mind. And don't let my mind slip at any time. I do love my life. The knife will fuck with your mind. At least I don't need to look over my shoulder at night.
All right, thanking that performance. So that is, oh yeah, I think a little clap for that. I was really impressed. So thanks, thank you. Now I'm going to share. I'm not going to share my screen. View options. Oh, I've gotten entirely lost now. I've gotten lost between two places. Let's see. So if I can share. Okay, I can't. Oh dear, how do I? Right, give me one moment. I've got the poem written out there, so I'll go and just hang in there, guys. Just hang in.
Does anyone else want to speak while Callie's?
I don't mind doing a poem.
Go for it.
We'll probably like kick in the middle, Callie's thing, but
no, perfect.
The only one I know off by heart, and it's like oh no, carry on, Callie.
No, do it, Mello.
It's very short. It's the only one I know off by heart because I recently did it, and it's about like every day going for a walk and looking out at the world, getting in touch with nature. And it goes, sky, you never let me down. As long as I take time, as if time could be taken to only see nothing but air. I thought I held you in and breathed you out, yet you hold me softly in this world where the ground kisses my soles, plugs me into undersoil among the rooted trees. You stand up to me, remind me to forget the paper work, observe instead the pattern of the bark that extends limbs of praise, dark ink veins etched into sky where clouds teach me the nature of my mind, now puffed, now dense, now drifting. Mutated skyscapes shine across the surface of my eye. As far as I can see, this world is mine.
No, that was really nice.
Follow that, someone.
Suddenly I have a frog in my throat.
Yeah.
I think we'll be coming to you for some video guidance, Mello, some quality control. And
that was
yeah,
good. That was good.
My blood pressure has not decreased, but I got this out today, and let's see how it goes, eh? To begin, I'm going to speak that part of your heart that wasn't trapped in language, caught from the start, that heats when the food is real good, that beats when it's been understood. A country is built on what is constitutional, written by those born rich and influential. From the very first, it's playtime in a nutshell. It's not about them, it's whoever bought their satchel. Conditions we're in aren't conducive to living. We won't better our children by dying out fighting. It's those at the top who write legalising docs, benefits stopped, application blocked, wages cropped and hours chopped, actions clocked and charges dropped. Ha, no, think again. Infuriation, gassed on violence, burning fast and bent on vengeance, instant glory to your conscience. Loved ones will face down in silence, the guiltless bearing out this sentence.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
All right.
I need to see that.
I think I'd just like to say, everyone, thank you so much for coming. I'll be letting everyone know kind of what this will look like when or if it's edited. And I just like to kind of to say a massive, if everyone takes themselves off mute to say goodbye, and then we can kind of leave gracefully and like
Bye.
that.
Thank you for the invite.
So I've just I found a poem at the last second.
Get it out, Kieran!
I've got a poem too.
Get it out! Yes. All right, I'm staying. I'm staying.
Poem.
It's in the chat. You can read it.
Oh, we can download it.
I've downloaded it. Yeah.
I'm downloading it.
What are we downloading?
I've actually got. If anyone.
Oh,
wants
I see. Yes. Cool.
Well, I'll tell you what. Obviously, if anyone's written anything, we want to perform things. So if you've got.
This short story is excellent. I really want someone to do something with it. So who can I send it to?
Me.
Okay, I've got
Or
two.
me.
Okay, it's yours.
Wow, you've written it.
There's a nice picture with it as well. Look.
Ooh, that's lovely.
Quite nice, actually.
That's from a guy in Leicester who's still in prison.
All right. And so, do we not have any more poems?
I've got one. It's quite a long one, but I can't put it forward. I can't put it to download. But it's got sort of issues with cross-related issues.
Well, hang on.
It's not about prison, but it's about isolation, really.
Well, this is what we're all looking to do: improving each other's health by listening and reading. So I'll stay. I'd like to hear it.
Have you got 2 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, it's called A Bag for Life. It's about the day the residents of Pripyat, after the nuclear disaster, were told to leave by the authorities. And it's about a woman who's got a young daughter. Barely do I remember tugging at my mother's skirt. Only now do I remember it, in fact. Did they ask me whether I wanted to remember such a thing? Of course they didn't. They have a job to do. They always have a job to do. And when they do their job, why are their voices so loud? 53 years ago, my last memory of her, almost, I hate the knock on the door. The soldiers and the police become indistinguishable. And men in cars and suits and hats, indistinct, watching, looking at maps and pointing here and there at their apartments. I see backwards. The same as it did back then, and men in new armbands, some of whom I knew, knocking on my door and shouting, "You have 2 hours," and shouting, "You have 2 hours to pack a bag and be out on the square. We are leaving. Please do not ask. Please do not ask me to write my name on my sleeve. For when we continue this exodus, we will once again be unwanted. Upon arrival, whose door do we knock upon? Upon arrival, marked in compassion and fear in equal measures. You can paint it as a star on a yellow piece of cloth. Go ahead, you may as well. I am leaving this town as I breathe in the diesel fumes, engines turning over and pulling up in the queue. So now I have to go. The men are taking the bags into the landing and on down to the main hall. All I hear is the clatter of children's shoes on my polished stairs. Mother, they ask my child, mother, they have opened the fairground. I see the big wheel turning and the chairs wheeling around through the air. What is this madness? What is happening? I dread to think. She tugs at my sleeve. No, that cannot be right. There is no choice, but there is always choice. I said I would not let it happen again. I said I would provide my daughter a better life. I said there would be no pulling on the hem. I said there would be no terror in her eyes, such as I saw in my mother as I tore at her sleeve. But as I look out from the apartment, I see lines of people in the cold, waiting to be told. That's a bag for life.
Thank you, Simon. Thank you very much. All right. I just can't say it's been absolutely brilliant. So please, everyone get in touch. Do leave some feedback. And
Thank you, everybody.
There's a next poetry workshop next Monday talking about queerness and incarceration. Love you all. See you later.
Wow.
Thank you.
Cheers, everyone. Yeah, that's been fun.
Kieran, is that your poem? You're on a mute.
No, Mello, it's all, this is a stack of stuff that someone just gave me from HMP Leicester. There's a guy, one guy in particular who's really talented.
Yeah, yeah.
The short stories that he's
From a
done.
parent to child, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's also written like all of this, which is really good.
He's going to do his one as well, isn't it?
What, this guy?
He's going to read one or something.
Hi.
Might do, yeah.
Okay.
So,
lovely to see you, Mello.
Lovely to see you, Julie. Thanks for the invitation.
I'm glad you came.
Thank you. Yeah.
See you at the exhibition. Anyone who wants to come tomorrow.
Yeah, come into that.
Oh, yeah. Where is it?
See it. Where is it?
Online. We'll send you the link. It's
all right.
Yeah,
you got me.
I'll get Corinne to send it over to you, Mello.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Do you want me to put my anything in the chat, like my email, or should I?
Please, yeah. I think I've got it, but yeah.
I think you have, but still.
We're going to do like a Q&A with some of the guys that were involved.
Cool. I was going to ask if anyone knew about the Yellow Book. Is the Yellow Book still floating around? I was a panelist for a few years for the poetry, but I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it for the last.
No, I haven't seen it.
No, I haven't either, actually.
No, because that was a bit of a inspiration, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, Peter Hurst.
Okay.
Or hit me up on the messenger or what have you.
I'll just screen grab this before it disappears, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Right.
They can do a safe chat. I think.
Oh, can you?
Callie, I think Callie or Carrie.
It does automatically save, does the chat?
Okay.
Oh right.
Hi.
I think.
Hi. Yes. I think. Yeah. I think it's. We're recording.
Recording anyway, so you can see it that way.
Yeah.
I think you can export the chat as well, maybe as a PDF or something, or a text.
Yeah. Yeah, I can export it to Dropbox or Google Drive.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Or just
I'll put it onto the
I'll chat.
get everyone emailed tomorrow.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think I'd just save the chat. I think you can do it yourself if you like. Yeah. It's quite a useful chat, that.
Nice. Yeah, brilliant.
Ah, so nice to see you all. Yay.
Really nice to meet you, Mello. I've heard a lot about you.
Oh, nice one. You too. It's really good to hear your piece.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I think that if we get in touch, because I think a lot of the poems that we've done come from your kind of set. And a couple of the things that you mentioned, really are what I would like to kind of start working on. Quality control.
Yeah. Cool.
All right, I need to go and have a cigarette now, so I'm gonna leave.
All
well
right.
done, guys. That was excellent.
All right, look, if I leave, you might all leave, so apologies, but yeah, off I go. Cheers, guys.
All right then. Bye.
Bye, Julie. Bye, Karen. Bye, Kelly.
See you soon.